Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Candace Prince with Green Hope Projects. We are incredibly happy to have Sarah Elena Dillabough here with us today. She's going to be speaking about plans for a 68-mile county line trail in El Paso. And I'm going to turn it over to her so she can tell you more details about that.
Okay. Hi. So yes, my name is Sarah Elena Dillabough, and I work with Quantum Engineering Consultants. Let me just get it into present. If you have never used Canva, I suggest it. I love it. It's wonderful. So yes, so my name is Sarah Elena Dillabough. I'm a sustainability specialist at Quantum Engineering Consultants. And through my work with Quantum Engineering Consultants, we have a contract with the Paso del Norte Health Foundation to oversee the development of the Paso del Norte Trail. So the tagline is Paso del Norte Trail, a trail for everyone. And in this photo is a segment of the trail. So the Paso del Norte Trail is community driven, it's collaborative, and the vision is to create a trail that will connect from county to county line, from Anthony, Texas, all the way to Tornillo. And so we really are aiming to create a regionally significant landmark that promotes active living, active transportation, highlights the history and the culture of our region, the Rio Grande, and also the other historic waterways and canals like the Franklin Canal, supports economic development, ecotourism, and provides educational and volunteer opportunities. So the idea as well is that by building this trail infrastructure, we're creating more incentives and easier access for people to live a healthy life. And so the trail, once completed, will be 68 miles, and it's divided into districts that are unique in their historical and cultural context. And each of the segments will have different attractions and different amenities to fit the landscape. So for example, this trail right here is the Playa Trail that extends from Azcárate Park all the way to, right now it's all the way to Riverside, but that one trail will extend all the way to Isleta, Isleta Middle School and High School. And here in this photo, you can see some solar lighting. And also on the left-hand side is a large green infrastructure installation with mulch, a bioswale, curb cuts, and native plants and trees. So throughout the trail, we include, sustainable components and natural landscapes. This is a photo of the trailhead at the Playa Trail, right at Azcárate, right at the entrance of Azcárate. So the road you see behind there is Manny Martinez, and that's the road that you use to access Azcárate Park. And so you can park either at Azcárate Park or at the county tax offices on the other side of the street. And this is what it looks like when you enter. So you can see in this photo, there's seating, there's, the dog feces pickup bags, there's some wayfinding, there's a water fountain for both humans and pups, and there's a bike repair station and a bike, a lock where you can lock your bike. So a little bit about El Paso. Our population is about 840,000 in the county. Our poverty rate is 20%, and we have a pretty high rate of adults who are obese and adults who are sedentary. And so the idea of this trail is to really incentivize people leading a more active lifestyle. Again, this is the Playa Trail. So here is an aerial video of the trail. This is on the west side under Loop 375. So as you can see, the trail will go right there. So, and I'll just be talking over this video. So from the map that you see on the left-hand side, you see that it goes from Anthony, Texas, all the way into basically the other side of the county. This right here is the River Park Trail. This goes from Country Club Road all the way to Anthony, Texas, and it's 10.5 miles. And so the trail follows mostly a waterway. So on the west side, it goes along the Rio Grande, and then it'll come down into the Sunland Park area, and then that's where it catches that Loop 375. And then it'll go from there into Sunset Heights, downtown area, and then it'll catch onto Fox Plaza, around the zoo, and then it'll go in through the MCA area, and then that's where it catches Ascarate Park. And then from there, it goes to Riverside. From there, it'll go down Night, and it'll connect to the Independence Trail that's at Yarborough. And then from there, it'll go all the way to East Lena Middle and High School, and then from there through all the way to the Missions and then to Tornillo. So the trail is not owned by one entity, and I think that's really important when we think about how the trail is being built out. So the Paso del Norte Health Foundation did assist financially with the building and construction of the Playa Drain Trail, but other portions of the trail are being applied for through different entities, whether that be the county or the city, and using different pots of money. That might be CDBG funding or TASA funding, which is Transportation Set Aside Alternative. So as funding becomes available for trail projects and alternative transportation projects, that we apply for the funding, and then the appropriate applicant will also be the one to apply for the funding. So it's kind of piecemeal right now, but the trail itself is in the master plan for I guess not the master plan, but it's a set of objectives and projects that are key to the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and also for the city and the county. So we really worked to get a good collaborative partnership going with all the relevant entities in the city to go for those funding dollars when they're available. So the benefits of the trail, so public health, quality of life, and the benefit of shared use paths versus roads. So one study found that 43% of people reporting a place to walk were significantly more likely to meet current recommendations for regular physical activity than those who are reporting no place to walk. And so this feels very logical, right? If you can go outside and within a couple-minute walk get to a trail where then you can walk 3 miles, 4 miles without having to cross the road and feeling safe and having that infrastructure, it makes a big difference, and it definitely incentivizes people to get moving. And this about the quality of life, people who have access to places to be active can boost the number of people getting enough exercise at least 3 days a week by 25%. And so again, it helps to increase people's propensity to live an active life. And then here where we look at the shared use paths versus roads, concrete roads offer an expected service life of roughly 20 to 25 years, whereas asphalt roads are likely to last 18 years. However, the expected sidewalk materials service life can be as long as 80 years for concrete and 40 for asphalt. So whenever we're building out the trail and working with entities to apply for funding, of course, they have to factor in the maintenance costs of the trail. And so we see that the trail is actually less of a maintenance cost and burden than a typical road. In Dallas, developers have reported 25% premium for properties adjacent to the Katy Trail. And so we see that with increased amenities around homes, you have increased home values. And so that's great for homeowners. Retail sales as well. So retail vacancies in the town of Dunedin, Florida, declined more than 50% after the opening of the popular trail. New businesses, including restaurants, bike shops, outdoor equipment suppliers, etc., opened up. And also, sidewalks will turn out to be somewhere around 3% of the cost of bike lanes. Sorry, I messed up on this part. But basically, it's reiterating the fact that building trails reduces the maintenance for streets, right? And so here it's saying that this particular city decided to implement a road diet, which was including narrowing the streets, which shaved $2 million off of the estimated $6 million cost of the sewer work, while at the same time improving mobility and safety for pedestrians and cyclists. So when we're talking about building out this trail, there are going to be portions of the trail that require road diets, or maybe taking off a lane of traffic to incorporate a shared use path, or incorporate a walking trail, or incorporate a bicycle lane. And of course, we do this by assessing the traffic demands on those roads. And lanes will never be taken out if there is a very demonstrated demand for that lane. However, a lot of the times we don't need as many lanes, or there are some areas of the city that can afford to have one less lane. And so also the idea of the trail is to be more focused on people and not so much on cars. So through the development of the trail, we've done a lot of community engagement, and we are continuing to do so. We have trail pickups. These pictures are from the installation of burrowing owl habitats. So Lois is going to give a talk about constructing artificial burrowing owl habitats, and we actually have 2 artificial burrowing owl habitats along the Playa Drain Trail. And these photos are from work days where we had volunteers actually come out and dig out the habitat and install it. And then this photo on the right is from the installation of a green infrastructure project out at the trail as well. And so we've done these types of things, cleanups. We also engage the community in doing bike rides, walks, and things of that nature to get more people out onto the trail. And so here is what I was talking about in terms of maybe reducing lanes or incorporating bike lanes in the road. So you can see here on the left-hand side, you have a trail. This is what we call the shared use path trail, where it's wide and it's aside from the road, or separated from the road. But then you can also see that there's a bike lane. Same thing with this. You have a sidewalk, but then you also have a bike lane. So in some portions of the trail, we're going to actually utilize pre-existing sidewalks to take advantage of the infrastructure that's already there, to not waste money. What we'll do is we'll put some trail branding and signage along the sidewalk, so that if you're on the actual trail alignment, you'll know how to keep going. You know, it'll say continue down Ninth Street for however many miles until you reach the next shared use path. And along that, we will put bike lanes in certain portions as well, so that the bikes that we're using the shared use path can continue on the trail. Here you see some bicycle riders along the Playa Drain Trail. So we have bike groups that use the trail a lot, because it's a 3.4 mile trail that you do have to cross the road at some points, but they're smaller access roads. You're never crossing a major thoroughfare or road, and it's very safe. So, you know, if you go back and forth, that's 6.8 miles, almost 7 miles of a bike ride. and many people use this to continue down into other portions of the city. And here you can see another trailhead of the Playa Drake Trail. And so when we look at environmental conservation and nature, we have burrowing owl habitats with a capacity of 5 owls per habitat. And then we have 2 bat habitats with a total capacity of 1,200 bats. And we have those bat habitats at Vocational Pond Park, and then at Ascarate at the beginning of the trail near Ascarate Park. We also use native or drought-tolerant plants and trees along the trail to help reduce water consumption and reduce the urban heat island effect. And then, as I mentioned previously, we have green infrastructure installations along the trail as well, which is what you see in this photo on the left. We had a group of volunteers. These are actually volunteers from Walmart. There was about 22 of them who showed up and helped to plant a lot of shrubs and trees and put the mulch in the bioswale. And this one, the 2 bioswales, this one and then the one that you saw in the previous photo, have a combined capacity of 31,100 gallons of stormwater capturing. And so that water would have just been water that would have collected on the side of the road and done damage to the streets by creating ponding and eventually cracking in the road. And so, so these are the different elements that we are aiming to include along the trail to create not only just a way for people to get, to use the trail to be active and active transportation, but also to benefit sustainability goals. Here again is the River Park Trail segment, which I mentioned is 10.5 miles one way. So, if you're on a bike, that's a really great trail because it's 21 miles back and forth. And it's really beautiful. Here you can see where the water in the Rio Grande on the left. And so this year the water lets out in June and goes all the way to September. So during those months, as you're riding along this trail, you're also riding along the Rio Grande. And we work really closely with there's so many entities that I forget sometimes their full names, but basically the International Water Boundary Council, something, I don't know. But we work really closely with them because they also monitor all of the sensitive bird species in this area. And so, for example, the county is one of the entities that manages a portion of the River Park Trail from Borderland all the way to Anthony. And so we work with that entity to make sure that when they're cutting the grasses along the trail or maintaining the trail, that we're not disturbing any sensitive bird habitat. Again, this is the bioswale. Here you can see it. This is previous to any mulch being put in the actual swale and previous to any plants being planted within the swale. So here you can see what it looks like when you don't have mulch in the swale. So imagine this same carrying capacity, but with mulch on top and plants. So you actually wouldn't be able to see the water ponding in the bioswale. You would only just see what looks to be damp mulch, but really it's capturing all of the water. And the great thing about a bioswale of that nature is that by using organic materials like mulch, you are building soil, which has the capacity to capture carbon in the long run. And you basically just need to add more mulch if it's starting to biodegrade, which is a good thing. And you see that there's a pile of rocks here in this picture. So actually those rocks ended up being distributed throughout the bioswale. So we try and minimize the amount of rocks that we use because they're not an organic material. They won't break down, and you have to get rocks from somewhere, right? But what we do with those rocks is we create dams, or we create holding dams where, for example, near the curb cut, which is in this photo right here, a curb cut is basically a cut that you make into the curb so that once it rains, the water has access into the bioswale. And so what we'll do is we'll line that with some rocks and then place some rocks into the entrance into the bioswale so that if you have pollution or, let's say, plastic wrappers or whatever the case might be, litter, you can easily pick those up and they won't get into the rest of the bioswale. And so we use rocks strategically in the bioswale. This right here is one of the burrowing owl habitats at the PdN Trail segment. If you ever go walk or bike along the PdN Trail, you will most likely see a burrowing owl or two in their habitat. Every single time I've gone, I've seen burrowing owls. And they're just so cute and little, but we're also providing a space for them because, with the development all around them, they have nowhere to go. And so creating safe habitat for them is really important. Here's another picture of a bioswale. And through a grant that we had through through AARP, we did some tree planting in the neighborhoods around the trail. So we planted about 65 trees in cooperation with Equal Paso in the Thomas Manor neighborhood. And then we also planted 23 trees along the PdN Trail. So almost 100 trees in the community around the trail. And here's just a picture of some people walking to get to the trail. And yeah, that's my presentation. So I was right about 30 minutes. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That is so cool. No, I was going to say, just from this summit, I'm learning about bioswales. And so I'm all excited. I'm like, I know that word. Like, I know what that is now. And it's incredibly sensible. And I just don't understand why it's not done more throughout the city. So I'm glad you guys are doing this on the trail.
Yeah, definitely. Bioswales make a lot of sense, especially as we face higher temperatures and less rain and more erratic rain. But, I think it's starting to be something that the city is working to do more of. But it's a relatively new concept. So we're trying to include it the ways we can along the trail to hopefully incentivize more of this sort of development.
Yes. No, it's smart. It's really smart. And if I get another property, I'm definitely going to have some people come in and show me what to do and where to do it.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
I don't have any questions, but I thank you for that presentation. I really liked it. And I'm also excited for your indoor composting presentation too.
Same. I'm like,
get your worms ready.
I'm like, am I doing it right? I need to listen to Sarah Elena. Hey, actually about the trail, I do want to, I'd be a fool to not ask about the art kind of stuff, since that's our thing. I mean, is there any possibility of future collaborations to do like installation pieces or sculpture gardens or interactive light things or something? Like, can we have our artists support?
Yes.
Okay.
I should have included it. I should have included some photos. And as I was finishing up today, I was thinking, I needed to include some of the art we have out there. So we do have some art. For example, some students made some tile murals that go on the trail as mile markers when it was being developed. And we do have some like recycled art sculptures out of tires. But definitely we could come up with a plan to do some more art along the existing trail, or if we have any, grant opportunities that support public art, maybe, and have like a trail focus as well, or even on the new segments that are being built. That's the idea, right? And I think also, I didn't touch on this, but there's an idea. It's a philosophy of urban planning that's called safe growth. So there's something called smart growth, and smart growth is basically creating more dense cities, right? You call it a ped shed, a pedestrian shed of 5 minutes where you can walk or bike to a store or a school or a bank, for example. And so that's important, right? But safe growth looks at all of the ways that the urban space itself can contribute to safety. So murals, for example, contribute to less crime. This was a canal that just, nobody used the canal. And if they did, maybe it was for purposes that were not sanctioned legally. And now you activate the space, you have people utilizing it, you engage people in activities, and you bring them to the trail. For example, having volunteers that go out and do projects along the trail, you make them feel like this space is theirs. And so public art is a huge component of safe growth to use, instead of, we need policing in certain regards, but there's a lot of other ways to promote safe urban spaces, and art is one of those. And so, yes, I'd love to partner with you on that.
My mind is going crazy with like mosaic ideas, recycled art, sculpture garden, even games along the trail where they have to like almost do like scavenger hunt along the trail. You identify certain things, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kinetic art where like when it, the wind blows, it'll move. I just think, oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and then it's going to be, 68 miles. It's a lot. It's going to be a trail segment that hopefully, most people can access. And like you said, out into Tornillo and all the way to Anthony. So I think that would be super cool. And especially how I mentioned there's the 5 different districts. And so if we can kind of make some art that identifies like this is district 1, 2, 3, or their names, but I don't remember them off the top.
So if any artists are interested, or if Green Hope Project wants to move forward with that, do we have to get permissions from like a certain entity, or does it depend on the party?
You would just like email me, and then we could figure it out from there. I could create a meeting with the appropriate entities.
Okay. And then if anybody has any questions, again, if you're tuning in later, you can get a hold of Sarah Elena. Her contact information is up. And if you're listening, it's Sarah, SARAH at QECENG.com. No extra at. Don't do that. Sarah Elena, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good evening, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Go do the trail. Get healthy.
Yes.